Udevim l'shira Amud Beis Asher Yisrael B'nei Beischa Kevatchilo V'yoshek koyanim la'avodoso V'im l'shirom u'lezimro V'yoshek Yisrael Agut Voch Raboisai Lilu Nishma Simi Miros Yerusbas Mordechai. Only one email tonight. It's Motzi Shabbos, and we are recording two shiurim. First, Daf Yud Aleph, and afterwards, Daf Yud. Most of you, a lot of you, were here for Daf Yud, and therefore, I will be recording it almost privately. You're welcome to stay here. Shalom Rebelli, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the Daf. The only reason I'm reading it is because from where this person is from. Thank you for the Daf and the Geschmacke jokes. Here's a picture of me learning the Daf in the car during lunch break. Where is this? If you look at the car, who has cars like this? Keep it up. Hope you see you in person one day. Joel Zirlison, Beitza Daf Hey, Germany. Here he goes. It's always the beginning of the thing. We're going to start banning you soon. The Koilel, sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. The Masechta, sponsored by Moshe Banda, to thank Hashem that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. The sponsor of the day, by the way, is very similar. By the Szlafrok family, in recognition of Hashem's never-ending kindness to our family. You want to discuss this in public? It's Beseder. Okay. Sponsor of the month, Szlafrok bas Yosef. The second sponsor of the month, Szlafrok ben Moshe, the art of the month, for complete refuah, for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah. We have a few guests here. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name again? The Szlafrok from Manchester? Since Nedarim. Givaldik. Really? Yossi Dahari. He's working. Who else is a guest there? He's not a guest. He's here for a month already. Who else? All right, Givaldik. Okay. So, we're starting the sugya. We're holding Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. We'll just go back a little bit. We had a Mishnah called Ashtoris Ha'olam Be'erkoi Shleivit Gechavim. Any document that comes out of a non-Jewish court system, even though the signees are non-Jews, they're Oivit Gechavim, that's kosher. Besides a get, and then Reb Shimon says even a get is kosher, and he says only because the ones that are possible is because it's done in behedyoit, it's not in a court. So the Gemara, 5 lines from the bottom. Reb Shimon Oimer afelu ksherim. Even Gittin are kosher coming out of a non-Jewish court system. We're just repeating, we're doing a little chazara just to get into the sugya. But how is it possible, as the Gemara, l'chayra, they have to be bnei krisus? So I didn't put that chart that's on yesterday's daf, but it says krisus, sefer krisus, the kosa v'nosan. If you're in the parsha of krisus, if you're able to divorce your wife halachically, then you could be in the parsha, then you could sign. But a oived kechavim cannot divorce his wife halachically. He could do it civilly, but not halachically. So then how could he sign his name? We don't care about the Edim at all. Who cares who signs it? Even if it's left blank, it's a good get because it's not what causes the get. What causes a get, makes it halachically a krisos, are the witnesses that witness the get. Those who sign the get are not important according to Rebbe Lazar. Reb Meir says it's important. Eid Chasimi Karti. Rebbe Lazar says it's not important. It's Eid Mesiri Karti. As the Gemara, that's great if there's no signatures at all. But if there are signatures that are not Yiddish, they're Oived Kechavim, B'loshen Nekiya, Oived Kechavim, then it's Mezuyev V'Toichai. What's the problem? Explained the other day. The problem is you might come to use that witness that's signing in the get as an Eid Mesira. If there's no Eid at all, it's left blank. Here, we have our get. If these two lines don't exist, it goes like this, then it's a great get. Fine. But if these two lines have Eidim on it, and the Eidim are apostle, they're the Oivd Kechavim, then you might say, hey, look, Oivd Kechavim signed the get, it's a kosher get, now let me use the Oivd Kechavim as my aid Mesira. And that for sure is no good. You need two kosher Yidden. When there is a name that's 100% a non-Jew, Muhammad, Paul, Christian, etc., then nobody's going to use him as Eid Mesira. You have any ha'aras? Because Yosef is not working hard enough tonight. He only has 2 shiurim. So you want him to cut, paste, it's not a problem. He has all night. Big time. You give him the raise. Why should I? You're the one. Most of the work is from you, not from me. What's a good Goyish name that nobody's ever going to mix up with the Yiddish name? Hurmiz, Vavudaino, Gary, Mark, Phil, Barshivsai. So Tais goes into all these names, but there's a lot of people that name their kids Shapsai. Shapsi Cohen, where is he tonight? He's making a wedding. Big excuse. On the day of the wedding, they come here, and then the 2 days before they don't show up. Shapsi. So we have to understand what exactly. So Shapsi might be different than Shipsoi, but it might be a little bit of an issue. What does Shapsai mean? Is it Tais goes into it. It's a ruach, not a ruach. It's a shed. It's a okay. Now, Ubar, Kidri, Ubati, Unakim, Una. These are all very, very non-Jewish names. So if you see them in a get, nobody's going to make a mistake and use them as the Eidim Mesira. If it's, a little bit like Gary, like Phil, it's a Goyish name, but it's not 100% Goyish. Some Yidden, unfortunately, they call them by that. Mai. The get is possible. If you have a name that you can confuse it with a guy and a non-guy, then it's possible. Why? Because you might use that guy for the Mesira. So just real quickly, very interesting. If somebody has a non-Jewish name, his name is Gary. So how does it look like on the get? Gary, the Miskari, okay, his name is Gershon. But let's say he doesn't have a name Gershon, his name is Gary. Well, maybe he does have, his name is Gary. Here's a perfect example, his name is Gershon. Do you put it in the get or not? Some Sofer says yes. The Maram Shik says Chas v'Shalom. Chas v'Shalom! You don't put such a name in a get. And because most of the Shir are American and they love Reb Moshe, so Reb Moshe Feinstein says that to have a non-Jewish name is a Dover Maguna. It's a pretty disgusting thing. But Lamaisa, it's not Asr.
See, now I'll put it on a grave.
Now I'll put it on a grave. So why do you go around with that name? You're screaming from up there. You're not put it on a grave. So nobody's going to know who you are. You're Gershon. It was Gershon. You got to switch. Today we're switching. You want people to come to your grave and like keep on walking? He goes through a whole thing. What if somebody has to name their child after the parent, and the parent's name is Gary? Should you or shouldn't you? So he says yes, you should. You have kibud aim, but the best thing is to add another name like Gershon. And at the end he says what everybody's thinking about, because Hasidim are very makbid on this. Shloshini Shmam. There's a thing that Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim didn't use Phil, Gary, Mark, all these names. So how come people do it today? Whatever. It's better like that. Right. So B&H. The B&H is the funniest thing. Hello, yeah. My name is Mark. Your what? I mean, my name, Mark. Yeah, okay. Joel. My name is Joel from Kiryas Joel. Yeah. Okay, fine. Call it B&H. It's mamish hilarious. I didn't chop you're Jewish. Your mamish sound non-Jewish. Joel. Yeah. What? Yeah, we had in Taisus, Rabbeinu Peter. Yeah, we brought down, what is it, Daf Zayin or something? I don't remember. Anyway, there's a whole thing about the people add doiv ber, so they used to do this whole ceremony, and only really Ashkenazim still have it till this day, where the kid holds a chumash, you put the chumash on the kid, and you do a whole thing, you add this goyish name to him, what is it called? A Voch. But there was a whole krayish, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about? What is it called? The ceremony. Huh? Krayish? Something krayish. Anyway, it was a thing. But Ramosha says that Shaloi Shimon and Shmam, he says a big chiddush. But they're chol. Yeah, one is in Yiddish, one this is chol. Okay. Why people have, Ayoima said they think it's better for them.
They held that the Shem Kodesh should only be used for an aliyah, only for something Kodesh.
Yeah.
You shouldn't use Kodesh for Chol.
You should use the Shem Kodesh for Chol. I hear. That's why they're so makbid. Limud Schus on all these people.
Say his name is Shlomo, they called him in Yiddish Salam.
Right.
But they were both Jewish names.
Aha. Okay, fine. You heard what he said? He said that, for those who didn't hear on video, he said that the reason why people were makbid not to use their Jewish holy name for Yonah Dechal, so they added another name, Solomon, to Shlomo, so they could use it like that. I think people are more worried that to blend into the Goyish society, how's it going to be in business, they need a non-Jewish name, etc. But Moshe Banda says it's not a problem, Shleishinu Shmam, that perhaps, he says, I don't have a lot of rice to it, but I would like to say, this is in Chelik Dalad Simin, I forgot already. But he says all the way at the end, he says, I don't have a lot of rights, but I think Shleishinu Shmam was only in Mitzrayim. That was before Matan Torah. After Matan Torah, it's not we're not so, it's a nice thing to be makbid on. But he starts off his tshuva saying it's a davar meguna. It's a disgusting thing. Okay, fine. Everybody do what you want to do with your own kids. Weiter. I do have one thing that I'd like to show the Olam. Hold on a second. This is, Mamish, one of the best names ever. Listen nice and careful. I got to show you here. I just thought it's hilarious. Okay. Fine. I was looking up all these interesting names that are 100% like Elon Musk named. I don't even know what he named this. X and Y and this and crazy names. But we also, Baruch Hashem, have our people that also. All right, Zok the Gemara. Ihachi. Ask the Gemara. Let's see. Okay. So here's no, this one. Stop. Go. Good. Okay. So you see, we're saying in the Mishnah it says the red. This Shemus Muvakim. What's the opposite of Shemus Muvakim? Shemus Muvakim, if their name, we're explaining that when their name is 100% Muhammad, whatever it is, it has a non-Jewish name, then you could use it as a get. The get is kosher. V, it's good. Blue, because the green didn't work well over there. But when it's, what's the opposite? That the Mishnah says, and what's not kosher? When the get was done, behedyot. Not in a court. Ask the Gemara a very simple question. The opposite of Shemus Muvakim is not when it's not done in court. The opposite of Shemus Muvakim is not Shemus Muvakim. Why don't you say nafkamina in a really strong non-Jewish name versus a so-so non-Jewish name? Muhammad versus Gary. If it's Muhammad, it's a kosher get because nobody's going to use it for the Masira. But if it's Gary, maybe it's a non-Jew, maybe it's a Jew, and you can't use it. Live like if you listen with the da. So נחama, the last words of the Mishnah are that when is it kosher? When it was done in court. And in court, people are very makbid, the judges, nobody wants to have a bad reputation. The judge doesn't want to have a bad reputation. If the get was done in a non-court system, then it's puzzle. As the Gemara, listen to the just say an afkemina within Shemus Muvakim and not Shemus Muvakim. So let's just see Rashi inside real quickly. Says Rashi, Nasu kishari shtar shel mecher shenasu behedyot beloy arkos. What? Weiter? Okay, yeah, okay, fine. We'll see it there. Yishkoyach. Correct. Hachinami kamar. Says the Gemara, yes, that we'll see it in the text. Hachinami kamar. That's exactly what we are saying. We're saying an afgemina between a real Goyish name and a so-so Goyish name. When is it kosher to get? When it's 100% a non-Jewish name, Christian. But if it's a Michael, then it's like a regular shtar. Okay, so here, I'm just explaining this because this is where it becomes a little tricky. Because if you read it, you would think we're talking about a get. A get that was done, behedyot. That's how we understood the Mishnah. Explains Rashi, this is what Rashi comes and explains. No. Nasa kemisha nasa behedyot means, then it's as if you have a regular shtar. And I'll explain. So let's see Rashi over here. Nasa kishari shtar shel mecher shenasu behedyot beloy arkos. Then it becomes like a shtar, a regular shtar, not a get. That was done outside of a court. Danavadi pasli. Then that for sure is possible. Doi kapti ayurin of shayu. V'chasmi shikra, says Rashi, if there's a regular document, a real estate document, that's not done in a court system, then the guy will lie. Mechtei says he's saying the truth. The only reason why we're saying he's saying the truth is because it's in a court system. He's scared of the court. So therefore, says Rashi, very, very powerful over here. In Pshat, just to understand simple lashon of the Gemara. The words nasu behedyot in the Mishnah mean ashar stars kamar. It's not talking about a get. It's talking about the other stars. Says Rashi like this. Take a look at this chart right over here. There are three criteria. First of all, the Eidim are what cause the get. The Eidim Mesira are what cause a get. When an Eid sees, he witnesses a get, that makes it a get. Those Eidim must be, in blue, must be Jewish. And at the same time, those who signed the get must have the most Goyish names possible. If you have these three criteria, then it doesn't make a difference whether the get was done in a court or in somebody's backyard. The bottom line is we have Eidim that testify and witness the get, and they're Jewish, and the Eidim inside the get are 100% Goyish. So there's no problems over here. We're not concerned that he might use those Eidim that signed to do the Mesira, and we have Eidim Mesira, so it's a great get. You don't need a court. So then why does the Mishnah say court? Oh, the Mishnah is talking about not a get. The Mishnah is talking about the regular shtar. That makes a difference if you're in a court or not. Because if you're not in court, there's no Eidim Mesira karti on a real estate document. What creates a real estate document? The Eidim that sign it. They're not scared of anything. It's not in the court system. They don't care. They'll just sign whatever they want to sign. Says the Gemara, that's what the Mishnah means. That this get is similar when you don't have good Goyish names. The Shvache Goyish names, Gary, Michael, Phil. They're a little weak. They go both ways. Jewish, not Jewish. Those names are puzzle in a get. They're just like if you have a shtar, a real estate shtar, that's also puzzle if it has these names. That's what the Mishnah means to say. Let's see it inside. 8 lines from the top. If you have a get that has names that are not 100% goyish, then it's like a regular shtar that was done outside of court. Upsulim. That's the pshat. Okay. Seifa a son. Let me just see here. Oh. So, check out, this is the Mishnah, right? It says in the Mishnah, it starts off, all shtaris of non-Jewish courts that are signed by non-Jews are kosher. Then Reb Shimon says, and it says that a get not, and Reb Shimon says even a get is kosher. Reb Shimon continues, we thought he continues, if you look at the Lashon of the Mishnah, Af Eluk Sherim in blue, and then it continues in red, these that are puzzle, a get that's puzzle is only because it was done outside of the court. So the Gemara, you read it wrong. The red on top and the red on the bottom are one thing. Reb Shimon stuck in his 3 words in the middle. The end of the Mishnah has nothing to do with Reb Shimon. The end of the Mishnah goes in the beginning of the Mishnah. All the shtaris that were done in a non-Jewish court system are kosher. But if they were done outside of a court system, they're puzzle. That's what the Mishnah says. You asked me this question. Where is it? You asked me that it should be, we should talk about the blue. Blue versus blue. Why did you, instead of saying the red, you should have said the blue. Why did you say that this shemus muvakim? And what's puzzle is outside of court. You should have said shemus muvakim versus shemus loy muvakim. Now the Gemara says, no, outside of court has nothing to do with the get. Outside of court is nothing to do with the Reb Shimon. Outside of court is the beginning of the Mishnah. Your whole question doesn't start. Okay. So the Gemara inside. I'll just do this so it can be on the screen for a second. Seifa asan legitei mamayin. V'achikamar. It's referring to the beginning of the Mishnah. We're not even talking about a get, we're talking about regular shtaris. If it's done outside of court, then it's puzzle. So don't ask me a question. Why do you make an afyamina between a get that has the name of a guy and a get that's done outside of court? I never made such an afyamina. The outside of court part of the Mishnah has nothing to do with the get, it has to do with the regular shtar. Tanya Reb Elazar Reb Yosi. Kacham Reb Shimon Chacham b'Tzaydon. Have a raya, says the Gemara to Reb Shimon, because Reb Shimon told the Chachamim Tzaydon. Lo nachliku Reb Akiva v'Chachamim. Reb Akiva, who lived the generation before us, he didn't argue with Chachamim al kol shtaris ha'olen barkoi shlevi Chachamim shav bishach yismeim of the Chachamim ksherim. There's no argument, says Reb Shimon. All the shtaris, all different documents that happened to come out of a non-Jewish court and they were signed by non-Jews, they're all kosher. Even a get is kosher. So where's the machlokes? When it was done outside of the court, why does Rebbe Akiva say it's kosher? Rebbe Akiva is machshir because Rebbe Akiva holds that a guy outside the court is also fearful for his life. He doesn't want to break laws. If he lies in a get or whatever, he's going to get into trouble. It doesn't have to be in a court system. As long as there's a court system in that city, he'll be scared even outside of court. Chachamim say, even if you have these 3 conditions, you have Edom Esira that are Jews, and it was signed by Shemus and Voch, it's still possible if it's outside of court. If you have these 3 things, you have Edom Esira on a get, and the Jewish, and you have real Goyish names, then it's kosher. But if it's not a get, then it's possible. Why? Because they're not fearful of the court. Rebbe Akiva says they're fearful of the court, even if they're not in court. Chacham say no, that doesn't make sense. Even the get Isha and the Eved is kosher. Only in a place where Jews are not allowed to sign. Let's say there's a rule. I don't know. Rules. When I'm reading this, you guys don't know. Maybe you do know. In Chicago, when you drive down Devon, there's a church that has a huge piece of land, grass. You know what I'm talking about? right before you get to the Jewish neighborhood. So in that neighborhood, up until a few years ago, a Jew could, what is it called? Saganash, exactly. A Jew couldn't buy a house there. No Jews. This Adi Mazah. And now maybe they relax, who knows. But there are times and places where a Jew couldn't sign a document. No Jews. So if no Jew could sign a document, and then you get a get that says the name, Gary, Phil, what does it mean? It means that it's 100% a guy. If it's 100% a guy, then I'm not concerned that I'm going to use that guy for Eidem Masira. Mela, then what? It's kosher. It's like almost counterintuitive. If it's 100% the guy, then it's 100% kosher. If it's not 100% the guy, then it's not kosher. Only in a place where Jews not allowed to sign. But in a place where a Jew could sign, now we have a problem. What's the name? Is it a Goyish name or not a Goyish name? You might use that guy for Eidem Masira. Mogim Shein Yisrael Chaismin. Ask the Gemara. Mogim Shein Yisrael Chaismin. Nami Ligzor to Mogim Shein Yisrael Chaismin. Well, why? We have to be consistent. You're going to tell me in Saginash, whatever it's called, then you could use the get. But in Chicago, 2 blocks down, you can't. Let's make a plug. It should be geyser. This neighborhood out to this neighborhood. Says Gemara Shema B'Shema Michlav. Names. If you allow this type of goyish name to go through, if it's Muhammad, it's okay. But if it's Michael, it's not okay. So people are going to get confused. Maisa, it's a non-Jewish name. I was able to use it. I remember there's a Maisa 10 years ago. The witness was Michael. I don't remember Michael or Muhammad, whatever. They let it go. So today I'm going to let Michael go. You can make a mistake between names. Asher v'asher loy michlaf. But if you say it's in Germany, I don't know what. In this place, it's not allowed, or it is allowed. So people remember it's because of the place, not because of the name. Says the Gemara Nusugi. If you were spacing out until now, brand new stuff. Rabbeinu Sovel Achshuri b'knufiyasa darimai. Knufiya, like a gang. So I don't know. You could correct me. You could add to this. I know from Chicago, from where I was in the real estate business, they had their own little bezdin, so to speak. If there was a dispute between brokers, they didn't go to court. You go to this little thing by the real estate association. They pass in all the halachas. I heard also in Wall Street they have this. Maybe I think even the Diamond District. You have a machlokes. You come. There's 3 skenim over there. They pass in halachas. Where else do we have this? Anybody? Where? The Diamond District. That's what I just said. Diamond District. I think. I don't know. So you have a knufiyasa daramai. These are judges that are not part of like a buyer system. They're not part of the court system. They do their own thing. You have a little machloikis in the marketplace. You go to that corner. They pass in what happens. So the Gemara wanted to say that the get is kosher in such a situation. With the shtar is what? Let's see. נחama. Ravina Sovar lachshurei bichnu fiyasa. How do you know what it is? Sovar lachshurei shar shtar, says Rashi. Shar shtars. Darimoi. Omalei Ravamar koistnan. It's only kosher shar shtars. Regular, not a get. Get. We said already if it has the Masir, etc. But a kois, if they have the fear of their kois, it's a good start. If they don't have a fear of a kois, just because there's 3 people standing in a corner somewhere, that's not enough of fear for them not to lie. Right. So I think they talk about it. Depends on what teretz we said yesterday. There's two pshatim. Omar Rava. Hai shtar parsa, the Master Nale Ba'apis Hadi Yisrael. You have a shtar parsa. It's an Iranian shtar made by Hedyotis. The Master Nale Ba'apis Hadi Yisrael that was given in front of Jewish witnesses. Magbinim Bey Mibnei Chari. It's not that powerful. It's enough to go and collect from a field, some real estate that the guy didn't sell off. If you go from Mishua Badim, that's very powerful. Meaning, it's a regular shtar. If I borrow money from you, and then I went ahead after I borrowed the money and I sold my real estate, you could come and take the real estate even after I sold it. Over here we're saying no. You cannot go and grab real estate after I sold it, but you could grab the real estate before I sold it. Nechari. That's the Gemara, but it's in Persian, so he doesn't understand. Says the Gemara, we're talking about Persians, they understand. But in Iran, they didn't use the special documentation that had some sort of little film on the top, and that once they wrote the shtar, it's finished. You try to erase and change the name, it was very obvious what happened. Says the Gemara, what kind of? Like a watermark. The Gemara says here what it is. Bidafitzon. Use dafitzon, whatever it says, gall something. Gall nuts. Put like a layer on top. Once you can't change anything, you want to change $1,000 to $10,000, it'll be obvious immediately, it'll peel off and people see that it's fake. Okay, so we have that. So here, this is what it looks like. It says in the last line of the shtar, in the Jewish shtar, I made a kinyan, I did a kinyan sudar. On everything that says in the shtar before. I do a chazara, sikum on the whole shtar. Says Gemara, okay, so we're talking about such a shtar. It's not a problem. So if it's a perfect shtar, the witnesses are Jewish. They know, they understand the language. And I made it bafitzon. You can't erase it, you can't change it, and it has everything in one line. So even if he sold his real estate, I should be able to go grab it. Says Gemara, let's lay kala. It's the eidim inside the shtar that create the kol. And memela, over here we don't have eidim that are Jewish. In the shtar, we have eidim that witnessed it, but they're not in the shtar. They're not enough to spread the rumor about the real estate. The eidim, says Rashi, the eidim in the shtar are the ones that spread those rumors. Shiloh, Daf Amud Beis, 10 daf into Masechet Gittin. Time flies. Yishkoyach, thank you. The Friedman family, for our sisters, נחama Leah, Bas Pנחas Eლიעזר, for Gimel סיון. Chana Etel, Bas Pנחas Eליעזר, Yibadal Chaim Pנחas Eליעזר, Chav Gimel סיון. Zoom. They're not on now. We need Mark. It's a whole Isaac. Tomorrow, Bezer Hashem. I once tried the Hebrew with him and he wasn't happy. Maybe it brings back bad memories. I don't know. With Gershon we could do it. Gershon goes both ways. As the Gemara, a get comes from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz and it shows up with Goyish signatures. What do? What happened was we had such a story and the name was Lukus and Lus and we said it's kosher. But it's only those two clowns because no Jew ever names his kid that. So that works. But a name that sometimes you find in the Jewish community, loy, that's not good. Eisvei, that's the Gemara Kasha, Gittin Hayom. Now it's fakert. It's a get that comes from Chutz La'aretz, Eretz Yisrael. Right? Rav Shlakish asked Rabbi Yochanan about a get that came from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Now we have to pay attention. We're asking a question from the opposite. It comes from America into Eretz Yisrael. And there's signatures, even though they have non-Jewish names, it's kosher. Why? The Bryce explains why it's okay. Because many people in America name their kids with non-Jewish names. Upon him, you see that it's okay. And why did you say that it's not kosher if it has a non-Jewish name? Only if it's mamish shem muvak. Over here, it's any name. Gary, Phil, Michael, not the shem is muvakim, is also kosher. The Bryce explains. Okay. And Rabbi Yochanan, it's not a kasha. Rabbi Yochanan was speaking about a get that comes from Eretz Yisrael. It's very similar to what we have today. I don't think that a typical Israeli person names his kid a non-Jewish name. But it's very, very shchiach and matzui in Chutz La'aretz. Today, people name their kids a Jewish name, but also a non-Jewish name. So that's exactly what it says here. Rabbi Yochanan was talking about, from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. That's not shchiach. But coming from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael, it's very common that the names are non-Jewish, and maybe it's kosher. Says the Gemara, no. It's not the Rabbi Yochanan. They asked the question to begin with, like the Brisa, not like we were thinking, not like the top line. Top line, we were thinking that it's going from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Then we had a Brisa that says, what about Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael? That was the question that Rish Lakish asked him. What about if a get comes from Chutz La'aretz, arrives in Eretz Yisrael with the funny names? The Dayanim, imagine the Badats looking. Gary, Phil, was is das? So he said, it's good, it's kosher. Why? And then he told him, it says in the Brisa, since most people in Chutz La'aretz have non-Jewish names, then it's kosher. Says the Mishnah, and I have to find the sponsor for the Mishnah here. The Mishnah is sponsored by Joel Friedman. Lilish, my dear father, Chaim Avram Shalom Yerucham ben Yisrael David Shalom. So, Joel. So the halacha is, we know that if you find $1 million on the street, I told you about my friend from Chicago. He found once over $1 million in a box, and he got to keep it. He didn't find it. He had a property, and the guy that rented the room, he got arrested or something, and he left him a matana gdoila. He waited a few years till the guy came out of jail, and the guy never came back for us. Okay, fine. So a guy finds a matana gdoila, and he decides he doesn't want it. He wants to be koinet for Ruvain. Ruvain is koinet on the spot. I can make a kinyan for Ruvain. Now the question is, what if I have in my hand a get for a woman? Could I be koinet? Could I be zoichet for her? She never appointed me as a shliach for Kabbalah. The husband appointed me as a shliach lohilacha. He says, go bring this get to this woman. Can I say, okay, I want to be koinet for right now, like I'm koinet $1 million for my friend, I want to be koinet this get. Now what about a get shikhr for a slave? He's dying to get out, as many slaves are, most slaves. I'm koinet the get for him. Could I do that or not? Says the Mishnah, says Remeir that the husband has the right to retract his shlichos all the way until the point where it comes to the wife and the eved. In other words, Remeir holds that it's not a schus for a woman to get divorced, and it's not a schus for an eved to be free, because if it was, then the middleman could be zoichet for them. He cannot be zoichet for either one of them. Why? Because it's a chay for them. The Gemara is going to explain. Even the Mishnah. He could retract and take it back when it comes to the divorce of a wife. The woman doesn't want to get divorced. She loses out by that. It's not a schus for her. It seems from here that even if it's a schus, but if it has some negative to it, then you can't be zoichet. Whatever the case is, sometimes you have a positive and a negative. There's something good about getting divorced. You were dying to get divorced for years. You went to all the Rabbanim, you're trying to force him into giving you a get. But at the same time, you're losing something. You're losing your support. You're losing whatever you're losing, and therefore you cannot decide to be kind of for her. Says the Gemara, but when it comes to freeing a slave, then everybody agrees that it's a big schos. Because it's a schos, but you can't do a chay for somebody. Now, the Rishonim discuss, what if the slave is in Bill Gates' house? He's living up a life like no one. Bill Gates bought him a Lamborghini, he's driving around and this. He has slaves that make him food. Is that a chay for him? Is that a schus for him to be free? Perhaps it's not a schus. So why don't we be done in each and every case and see, is it a schus or not a schus? Not every time is it a schus. In fact, there's a shaila I saw once that a guy asked if he's in jail, he comes out of jail, but he really wanted to be in jail. You know why? Because he's homeless. And in jail they give good food, it has TV, the whole thing. Does he? Huh? They have a Daf Yomi shir, 5 of them I heard over there in whatever it's called. All languages and all. No. They have it good over there. If not, it's a terrible, terrible place. But for this homeless guy, it's good. It's better than being in the street. Does he have to say Hagoyma when he comes out? It was a shayla. Saying so, it depends on the person. And I like that answer that the whatever Saver said over there, that Hagoyma is dependent on the person. So they gave me chizik for me not saying Hagoyma when I come back from America. Depending on if you feel that the nace happened to you or not. Okay. Shim yirtze shelo yozun, says Gemara, like says the Mishnah. Shim yirtze shelo yozun esav de rishoy. If a person decides he doesn't want to feed a slave, he's okay. And the Gemara is going to go into a whole discussion. If a person can tell a slave, I want you to work for me, but I'm not going to give you any food, is that okay? A person is not permitted to tell his wife, I'm not going to give you parnasa. He must give her parnasa. What if, not in all cases, but in a case that a eved is the eved of a kayin, he gets truma, he gets all this free food, or very, very cheap wherever he goes, he doesn't care about his master. His master can tell him, I'm not going to feed you. He just goes outside, he goes into the store where they sell fruit, and there's a whole box there of free truma food. He can take whatever he wants, because he's a slave of a kayin. So if he's an eved of a kayin, it's a chay for him. Now he's not going to have truma anymore. The fact that the Gemara is going to explain the fact that he's not eating truma now is only because he's not the eved of the Yisrael, of the kayin. Says the Gemara, Yosef Ravuna Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Kamei de Rabbi Yirmiyah. Story. Ravuna. Let me just make sure. I thought he was going to throw this in there. Okay, fine. Let me show it. We don't have the thing. So Ravuna and Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef were sitting in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah. Yosef Rabbi Yirmiyah v'kol menamnem. You have this many times in Shas that Rabbi Yirmiyah fell asleep. Yosef Ravuna v'kol amar, and Ravuna said, Shma mino, you see from our Mishnah, the Rabbanon, halacha the Rabbanon, atayvis the b'chayv kana. So this is a fascinating halacha. You owe me money. I could go into your house when you're not looking, and I'll take your kiddush cup right out of your thing and walk away. It's fine. You were supposed to pay me on Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Time went. You didn't pay me. You're not like the minhag not to pay back. So I go and I do dam din la'atzmi. I go into your house and I grab something. I grab some silver, some gold, and I leave. What about my friend? Can my friend go into your house and grab the silver? It seems like from our Mishnah that's okay. Why? Because over here you have a middleman that has nothing to do with the Eved, has nothing to do with the Adain. He decided on his own, let me grab this get shichrur and give it to and be kind for the Eved. Just want to remind the Olam, we saw the Rashi inside the other day. I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 days ago, I don't know when. Rashi says Mefurish that, and there's the other Rishonim that hold like him, that the guy can be Zoycha and the get shichrur for the Eved, but it doesn't go out free until the Eved himself grabs it. Okay. Huh? No, nothing to do with this. I'm just... No. Rashi says in all cases of Zachin la'adam of a Eved, he doesn't go free right away. Look at Rashi over there. What if the guy that I grabbed this Kiddush cup owes 25 people? And my friend goes in there and he grabs the Kiddush cup. Now the 25 people, the 24 people are not going to be able to grab anything. You just ruined it for everybody else. In that case also, yes. All of a sudden Rabbi Yirmiyah wakes up. Children, you don't know what you're talking about. You're permitted to grab from the one that owes you money, but not if it hurts somebody else. And what about our Mishnah over here? Because in our Mishnah, what happened? I'm grabbing the get shichur for the eved, even though it hurts. The master says, I don't want it. It's too late already. I grabbed it for him. But our mission is not a raya. When the master told Reuven, take this get shichur and bring it to the eved, it's as if he told him, I'm done with the eved. Be zoich in it. Do whatever you want. And Memela, that's why he's zoich, even though now he's not happy about it. Says the Gemara, discussing this machlokes, if I grab the kiddush cup when it hurts other people that he also owes money to, we have a machlokes. This nan, you have a wealthy balabas, says Rashi. Balabai is Asher. Not the guy, I think the guy from the bris is here. No, not Mamish. Chas v'shalom. The macha is happening already. I'm getting in trouble. What's going on here? Why are you wearing a gartel? Come inside. Come inside. Come, all the way to the front. What do you? Are you here for the second share? You're here for the second share or the first share? Because we're starting another one soon. Where are you coming from? Really? Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
I'm Ben.
Ben, Shalom Aleichem. Nice to meet you. And you? Yaakov, Shalom Aleichem. Have a seat. Sit here, sit over there, wherever you want. Okay, we're almost done. Mamish, almost done this year. We're going to have another one. That's what I said, but not really. He's gonna have to go back. No, he's not the guy. Okay, not. It's just a joke, and not for you to repeat, because now we can't even. There's nothing to edit now. Oh, Rav Chizda. It's not Mishalik. It's a peya of Amar Leploni. Now, let me just show you real quickly. Peya is if you have a corner of a field, you have to leave it, and we call it peya because whatever. It's the corner of the field. Now, you're a wealthy guy that has nothing to do with the field, but you know a poor person. So what are you going to do? You're going to go grab that corner of the field, chop it down, and bring it to your poor friend. Are you allowed to do that? Yes or no? Rebbe Lezer says, I could do it. Chacham say no. Because it's makim shechav la'acherim. There's many aniyim out there that want that wheat, and you have to give it to the first guy that shows up. Top of Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Dilma, what's the connection between peya and what we're discussing? In this case over here by peya, so we have the typical svara that we have throughout Shas, that any wealthy person could become unwealthy in a moment just by being mafker everything he has. He says, all my nechazim are hefker. So since he has the ability to do that, the guy's a multimillionaire, he's worth $100 million, he has the ability to be zoich in that $2 pile of wheat by being mafker is $100 million. You could do that. So since you're able to be zoicha in that wheat, yes, it's a meshugana thing to do, but you could. Therefore, he could be zoicha for his friend. But over here, when you bring a get shichur for your friend's slave, what's the connection? You can't do anything to be zoich in it, so there's no raya. Where does it say in the pasuk loisilakit lani? So it doesn't really say loisilakit lani. Let me show you. I don't know if you went to another shir, you might miss this point. It says in the pasuk with karmecha loisailel. When you have a vineyard, you shouldn't take the undeveloped grapes. Uperet karmecha, and those grapes that fall to the ground, loisilakit, you shouldn't gather. Kama, period. And then it says le'ani v'lager tazav oisam. You should let the poor take it. So we're going to use those words that go together. They don't go together. You see? What is that called? It's called smuchim. The word loisalakid is its own pasuk. La'ani is another pasuk. Not really. It's all in the same pasuk. But since it's so close together, we're going to make up a new drasha called Smuchim. Loisalakid La'ani. You have no business gathering for your friend Ani. Let him come by himself. Or let the other guy take it. Reb Lezer, hi Loisalakid. Reb Lezer holds that you could gather for a poor person. What's he going to do with these words? Comes to tell us that if you're a poor person, but you have a field, you're mechuyev to give the payah and all the matanis tanim. You can't say, well, I'm poor, let me gather for myself. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day, a good Voch, see you tomorrow in a few hours, and three shiurim in like 9 hours. Givaldik.